Politics and exercise, normally separate activities, but former Congressman Paul Ryan can be seen talking about muscle confusion back in 2010 and making it a conversation point in the fitness community for that time. Now, muscle confusion, simply put, is changing exercises to shock the muscles and confuse them to try and break it from its routine and grow muscle that way. So how does this fit into our current understanding of fitness and building muscle? And how was Paul Ryan able to affect this? All right, so I want you to take a step back with me and go back to the first time you went to the gym. And I, like most of you, didn't really know what I was doing. I just found a few things online that looked good. I went, did that, and just continued from there. Eventually, like everyone, I learned more, changed things, and found that certain exercises for me felt better. Then maybe you hit a plateau, you don't know what to do, you ask around for some advice, you look online, see what's there, and they say, oh, you just need to do X, Y, Z, and you'll break through that plateau. And this could be them just telling you, oh, you need to change this, you need to do this instead of that, you need to do more sets, you need to do more volume, you need to do more reps, you need to do less reps, less sets, more exercises for this muscle, etc. It could be a whole varying of advice. And maybe you do this every time you get to a plateau, and eventually you find yourself kind of changing your workouts every couple months. And this almost kind of sounds like muscle confusion, where you're taking something you have, you get stuck, and then you change, and then you're able to grow again. But is that really what's going on? Now, where did this whole idea come from, and why is Paul Ryan involved? Well, muscle confusion comes from P90X. It's kind of their main selling point. It's kind of their big marketing thing. And even the founder, Tony Horton, trademarked the term muscle confusion. Now, Paul Ryan's a pretty fit guy, touting about 6 to 8 body percent fat and being pretty active every day with P90X. Paul Ryan also contributes the muscle confusion part of P90X to be a main reason as why he's able to stay fit and active. P90X is a workout program that focuses on high intensity and varying workouts for ever-changing stimulus for your muscle. Now, I don't know much about P90X because it's a paid service, so information is limited, but from what I can tell, it's probably not the worst for losing weight, getting strong, or just having some aerobic fitness in general. But I'd be hesitant to say the results you get are from muscle confusion itself. Now, muscle confusion actually goes way back before P90X and Tony Horton even thought of the idea. Joe Weider, a famous bodybuilder, kind of touts it with these specific parameters: number of sets per exercise, number of reps per set, exercise choice, exercise order, workout volume, rep speed, rest period lengths, and intensity techniques. This type of explanation probably better explains a different concept I'll get into later, but it's interesting that Tony Horton mixed this idea and used it for his own branding and kind of muddied up and even caused some own confusion in the fitness industry of what was actually going on in his P90X programs. So what is really going on with muscle confusion? Because for one thing, muscles don't get confused. They don't have brains to think, they just kind of do. Your brain basically just sends them a signal to contract or relax, and they'll react accordingly. Another thing is that with the idea of muscle confusion, doing random things, or random, sometimes they're not random, but doing different things every time in the gym to kind of shock them doesn't really have much basis, and if anything can result in poor form and random results. Like, think about it. If you do bench press one day and the next day you just decide to do push-ups and the next day you do a cable press, you don't really know how many reps and weight you should be doing each time you move to these new exercises. So all you're kind of doing is giving yourself results that are not trackable. They're kind of like all over the place. And how do you know if you're growing if there's no structure and there's no way of tracking that progress? And I think one other thing people might say muscle confusion is the way to break forward is because when you're new to the gym, you're making a lot of progress very quickly. If you've never really worked out, done exercise before, or lifted weights before especially, your body is learning how to use its muscles and do the movement patterns of the squat, bench, deadlift, any kind of pulling or rowing motion. Basically, a lot of these basic movements in the gym, your body's kind of learning how to get the form down and do it right. And then once it does, not only is your muscles just going to get stronger just from doing them, but you'll be more efficient at doing them. So a lot of early gains can kind of be put on your body being more efficient rather than you actually being stronger. But it leads people to think they need to fix something because they're not making any progress. And then people just need to realize that this progress is actually normal. There's been a study done on college students that split them into two groups. One group doing a program where it was the same every week, and they did that for 8 weeks. Another one where they were given kind of a random assortment of exercises every week, and they made sure to control for how many days they worked out and the volume. And they also managed their diet a bit to try and reduce any of those factors. And what they found is that regardless of the group they were in, they were able to gain the same amount of muscle and strength. But one key difference that they hinted on that's probably the most interesting in the study is that the motivation between these groups was drastically different. People that did the same thing for the 8-week period, but a lot less motivated to be in the gym and work out. People that are doing new things every day, every week, were way more motivated and had way more fun in the gym. Or for an average gym goer, doing something new every day, every week, or doing a random selection of exercises every day, every week can be a little difficult, especially to track progress, as well as making sure you're hitting the right muscle groups and not leaving anything out. We can kind of see some middle ground maybe being the best option where you have mostly a consistent schedule and you change things up every once in a while or leave like 1 or 2 exercises to be changed out every week. Another thing that this study proved is that the most important part of being stronger and gaining muscle is just being consistent and going with progressive overload. Progressive overload being adding more challenge every week while you're in the gym. That could either be doing the same reps with more weight, more reps with the same weight, more sets of the current weight you're doing, something to kind of add a little bit more here and there to change it up. Kind of like Joe Weider's principles he talked about before. We call principles Joe Weider have something else. We call it periodization, where you'll have cycles in your gym routine where you'll have your week to week, your phase to phase, and then maybe a whole what we call mesocycle. Periodization is basically planning out a workout cycle of about 8 to 12 weeks normally. And normally after this time or during this time, you'll be planning to make progress in certain lifts and either increasing the reps, increasing the weight, increasing the sets, changing out exercises at certain times, something to allow you to progressively overload while allowing you to have some variation. And then after that 8 to 12 week period, you can reset, take a deload week or just a light week in general, and maybe you do a lot of things. Maybe you're like, okay, I want to try and change out this exercise. I want to work more on this. I want to get a bigger chest, so I'm going to try and focus more on my exercises on that. I want bigger legs, so I'm going to focus a little bit more on that. And you add some more variation that way to maybe give yourself a little bit of a new thing to progress on, a new way to have fun. And it can have that muscle confusion aspect of doing different exercises, but with a more structured plan. Now, I feel like P90X actually does this, but they just do it with a lot of variety and a lot of good planning, because most of the stuff you do, from what I can tell, is just body weight and a pull-up bar and maybe a bench and something else. It seems like it's designed for people with little to no equipment, and they might be combating a different thing called general adaptation syndrome. It's basically the idea that systems will adapt to any stresses they experience and attempt to better meet those demands in the future. So the idea of P90X is to continually add stress and change that stress, similar to how someone changing the weight, doing a different variation of an exercise. So maybe instead of doing a barbell squat, you do a hack squat, or you do a squat on the Smith machine. It's the same movement, but your legs are going to be stressed in a different way while enacting on the same movement patterns you've worked on before. So while Paul Ryan may have some things wrong about muscle confusion and why that was the reason he's able to be so fit, he's not wrong when it comes to doing something and being active every day. Because the most important thing is that you're consistently trying to push yourself. Good eating and exercise can go a long way. Just don't forget to change things up every once in a while. Well, that's all I got for you today. See you in the next one.